That's 2 weeks in a row. Forgot to turn the camera around before we get started. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Surviving His Sex Addiction and Betrayal show. I'm Jenny Rochelle. For those of you who don't know me, I am a life coach and advocate for women who have discovered that their husband is a sex addict or are experiencing betrayal trauma from their infidelity. So today, this week, I want to talk about whether or not you're ever going to be happy again. I had that question come in from a woman this week, and it's one of the messages that I try to say over and over again in all the messaging and videos that I do is like, yes, you will be happy again, 100%. That's possible for you. But what does it take to go from surviving where you are right now to actually thriving? And so what it takes is support. It takes a choir of angels. It takes you being committed to your own recovery and your own healing process and doing this for you. Like, this is a profound traumatic experience that you've had, and like it's kind of like you were in a car wreck, right? Actually, I was talking about this metaphor last night. Want to say that discovering that your husband is a sex addict or they've betrayed you is sort of like being hit by a car, but really it's more like being hit by a car and then drugged down the street for a couple of years, right? It's that long, sort of drawn out, drippy, painful discovery process while you're trying to figure out if it's real and what's really happening. And that's the part that's excruciating. Like, there's the impact and then there's the aftermath of trying to figure out, is this really happening? Am I crazy? He's gaslighting you. How do you go from surviving into thriving? So you've been through this terrible experience. And if that had physically happened to you, you would be in the hospital. You would have a team of people, surgeons and orthopedists and general doctors and all kinds of people, nurses, people on call taking care of you 24/7. This is a major thing that's happened to you. So don't underestimate and give yourself a break and realize you need help. You need support to get through this process. So the other thing that's probably what's going on is this is sort of a theme that I've been noticing lately, certainly true for my own life. And it's been coming up again in women that I've been sort of working with and talking to, is that your life right now, I think at the moment of discovery, is often the opposite of that, because you probably have been isolated by this man from your friends and family. And it can be very subtle, and it could have taken place over years. And it wasn't a thing in my own life I was super really conscious aware of until I woke up one day and was like, I don't have any girlfriends. I didn't visit my family the way that I did before that. And this person, this man, your husband, sex addicts or those who are, committing multiple betrayals, they need to be able to control you and isolate you. They're gaslighting you, which is a form of emotional abuse. And it's really hard, I think, to sort of wrap our brains around, is he really abusing me because he's not hitting me, or he's not doing all these things that are super obvious. But the isolation and the gaslighting and this is your fault and you're crazy, there's nothing going on, that's absolutely emotional abuse. And so that's why right now you need to be very intentional about bringing into your life what I call a choir of angels, a group of people who are trained to deal with your specific needs. They're trained to deal with partners of sex addicts. They're trained to deal with trauma, especially with betrayal trauma. Right now you need a therapist. And you get to decide for yourself what you want. These are my recommendations. This is what I use to survive my time of what I call being in the desert. Like, you need a therapist who's been trained to deal with partners of sex addicts or trauma. And you also need a coach. Like, you need someone like me, if not me, somebody else who's been trained to deal with partners of sex addicts or betrayal trauma. Like, there's specific things, and you need a specific kind of support who understands what you're going through. Like, I had all these great people in my life, even when upon discovery, but they weren't all really good at helping me. They wanted to help me and they did their best. But if I had met someone like me, someone who'd been trained to work with partners of sex addicts, who understood sex addiction and understood that I was having this traumatic experience, like, I maybe could have saved a couple of years of my life of like soul searching, and maybe not, because everybody gets their process. But I'm just saying, like, you don't have to do this alone. And the best way to ensure, like, to shorten that process is from going from surviving to thriving, is to make sure you have a good support team in place. So I urge you to get out there. I've created this free guidebook. I talk about it every week. It's 30 pages. It's full color. It's pretty. It's surviving his sex addiction and betrayal trauma. And you can get it for free. Go to www.sexaddictionguidebook.com. You can download it. And there's ways to get in contact with me from there. So key takeaways from today is yes, you will be happy again. Absolutely. And you need support. You need a choir of angels. Until then, until next week, I'll be thinking about you.